There is a freedom that comes not from gaining, but from releasing. Most people spend their lives holding opinions, holding grudges, holding identities, holding plans. They believe to let go is to lose, that to release is to weaken. But the ancient ones knew a secret. The river is strong not because it holds the water, but because it lets the water flow. The tree grows tall not because it clutches its leaves, but because it releases them when the season changes. So loosen your grip, just for these next minutes, not on what matters, but on what no longer serves you. Because what you are about to hear is not about losing, it is about becoming light enough to fly. Stay until the end, not to learn how to let go, to remember why you were holding in the first place. The seasons were turning in the mountains. Where green had once dominated, touches of gold and amber now appeared. Liang and Chen walked along a path strewn with fallen leaves. Chen carried a small satchel over his shoulder. It was not heavy, but he carried it as if it were, his body leaning slightly to one side, his hand frequently checking its presence. Liang noticed, but said nothing. They came to a clearing where a single ancient tree stood, its branches mostly bare, a few last leaves clinging stubbornly. Liang stopped beneath it and looked up. "Watch," he said. Chen followed his gaze. A breeze moved through the clearing. One of the remaining leaves trembled, holding fast to its branch. The breeze strengthened. The leaf shook violently, as if fighting for its life. Chen found himself holding his breath, willing the leaf to stay. But the wind persisted, and with one final gust, the leaf released. It did not fall heavily. It floated, dancing on the air currents, turning gently, settling softly on the earth below. Liang turned to Chen. "What did you see?" he asked. Chen thought for a moment. "The leaf let go." "And before that?" Liang pressed. "It held on. It fought." Liang nodded slowly. "And which was more beautiful, the holding or the releasing?" Chen looked at the leaf now resting peacefully on the ground. He had no answer. Liang gestured to Chen's satchel. "What do you carry?" Chen opened it without hesitation. Inside were small items, a smooth stone he had found weeks ago, a piece of carved wood Liang had given him, a dried flower, a folded piece of paper with notes. Nothing of great value, but each carried memory, each carried meaning. "May I?" Liang asked, extending his hand. Chen handed him the satchel. Liang emptied its contents onto a flat stone nearby. He arranged them carefully, as if each were a sacred object. Then he pointed to the stone. "This," he said. "Why do you carry it?" Chen said, "I found it by the river. It was smooth, perfect. I thought I might need it someday." "Have you needed it?" Liang asked. Chen shook his head. Liang picked up the stone and handed it back to Chen. "Hold it tightly," he said. Chen closed his fist around it. "Now," Liang said, "walk with me." They continued along the path. Chen's hand remained closed, the stone pressing into his palm. After some distance, Liang stopped. "How does your hand feel?" "Tired," Chen admitted. "Stiff." "And your mind?" "Distracted. I'm thinking about the stone, about holding it, about not dropping it." Liang nodded. "And what are you not thinking about?" Chen looked around. He realized he hadn't noticed the way the light filtered through the remaining leaves. He hadn't heard the distant bird call. He hadn't felt the cool autumn air on his skin. He had been thinking about holding a stone. Liang took Chen's closed hand and gently opened his fingers. The stone sat in his palm, innocent, harmless. "The stone is not heavy," Liang said softly, but the holding is. He took the stone from Chen's hand and placed it on the path. "Now walk," he said. They continued. At first, Chen kept looking back at the stone, already feeling its absence. But as they walked further, something shifted. His hand relaxed, his stride lengthened, his breathing deepened. He began to notice the world again, the patterns of light, the scent of damp earth, the sound of their footsteps on the path. Liang spoke without looking at him. "We believe we are carrying objects, but we are really carrying fear. Fear that we might need it someday. Fear that without it we will be less. Fear that letting go means losing part of ourselves." They reached a small stream crossing the path. Liang stopped and turned to face Chen. "But what if letting go," he said, "is how we discover what we truly are?" He gestured to the stream. "Watch the water," he said. "It does not try to keep what passes through it. It receives and then releases. And because of that, it is always clear, always fresh, always moving towards something greater." Chen stared at the water, understanding dawning slowly. He had been carrying that stone not because he needed it, but because he was afraid to be without it. And in that carrying, he had been missing everything else. Chen's stone is still here, only now it looks like this. The old resentment you keep revisiting. The identity that no longer fits but feels safe. The plan you're clinging to even though life has changed. The possession you don't use but can't release. Modern life encourages accumulation of things, of achievements, of followers, of status. But rarely does it teach the art of release. Yet release is where freedom lives. A vivid example. Think about your phone. How many apps do you have that you never use? How many photos do you keep that you never look at? How many contacts do you store that you never call? Each one is a small stone in your hand, not heavy alone, but together they become a weight. Now think bigger. The job you stay in because it's familiar, even though it drains you. The relationship you maintain out of habit, even though it no longer grows. The belief you hold because it's comfortable, even though it limits you. Letting go is not failure. It is making space for what wants to come next. When you release what no longer serves you, you don't become empty. You become available. Available for new opportunities, new relationships, new versions of yourself. Liang did not teach Chen to have nothing. He taught him to carry only what serves the journey. Letting go is not about poverty. It is about clarity. It is about distinguishing between what you carry and what carries you. So today, practice this. Find one thing you're holding that you no longer need. It might be a physical object. It might be an old story about yourself. It might be a resentment. It might be an expectation. Hold it in your awareness. Thank it for its service, and then let it go. Notice how your hand feels afterward. Notice how your mind feels. You haven't lost anything essential. You've made space for what's coming. And in that space, you'll find a freedom that holding could never give you. This is the echo of wisdom.